Folks, episode 21, season 2 of the Market Shakers podcast. And to my left is Dr. Jackson Drumgoole, the fearless leader of the Bridge Builders Communities project here in Augusta, Georgia. A very impactful program that's going to be lifting both young men and women from ages 18 to 24 out of the foster care system. Folks, the numbers you're going to be hearing on this podcast are going to shock you. This episode is one of the favorites that I've recorded thus far, and we got to sit down with him for about 45 minutes. The episode's live now. It's one you do not want to miss. Thanks for listening. And we are back. Episode 21, our last official special guest of the season. And last but not least, not at all, Dr. Jackson Drumgoole, one of the big men on campus here in the Augusta market, the Augusta area, doing some really incredible things, some big firsts in this area. This is an episode we have been looking very much forward to.
Yeah.
How are you?
Man, I'm fine. How you doing? Thanks so much for having me today, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And for those listening who are familiar with the name, you're going to closely tie him to the Bridge Builders Project.
Yeah.
But I think he's a little bit more than that. Military service.
Yes, sir.
Doctor.
Yes.
PhD.
Yep. EDD.
In EDD. What is an EDD?
Doctorate in Education.
Doctorate in Education. Mm-hmm. Okay. So maybe a little bit of your background here. Dr. Drumgoole.
Yeah.
So before we get to this Bridge Builder podcast, tell everybody who you are. Where have you come from?
Man, my gosh. So born and raised right here in Augusta, Georgia.
Okay.
Grew up in the South Side. Went to Glen Hills, went to Aquinas for a little while.
Okay.
Then back to Glen Hills because Aquinas said, hey, you you need to go back to the other side of town.
Oh, no.
But no, that was good school. Served in the military.
They kicked me out of Georgia Southern, so I'm all about it.
It all happens. we all have a pass, right?
We all got a pass.
We all have a pass. Like I say, served 30 years in the military.
Wow. Congratulations.
Retired in 2022. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Retired in 2022.
Okay.
Family and I, we returned back to the city of Augusta in 2020 so we can retire from Army Cyber and started the project, Bridge Builder Community, as soon as we got back here in town.
Got back in 2020.
Yeah.
And then which part of 2020? The pre-COVID or post-COVID?
Oh, this was
the middle of COVID.
Mid-COVID.
Okay.
I was literally in Pyeongtaek, Korea when it kicked off.
And I bet you remember you were stuck there for a little bit.
Stuck there for a while. So in 2019 to 2020, I was stuck there. They wouldn't let me leave. So I stayed there for an additional 6 months, me and my oldest son, and hung out there in Korea. It was a fun time.
So you're married. You have a wife and kids and all this. So where was your wife?
Wife was in D.C. at the time.
Oh, that's tough.
She was in D.C. And we were supposed to.
That was a challenge.
That was a challenge. She and the rest of the kids. So we have 5 kids.
Okay.
A set of 17-year-old triplets. Natural triplets. Come on, we can pray
identical,
for your
fraternal. I don't know how that all happened.
2 girls and a boy.
2 girls and a boy.
Two girls and a boy. Yeah. Same day, same time. Our kid count went from 2 to 5 overnight. My income.
We're just gonna have a third triplets. Is that how that worked out?
That's exactly how it worked. Oh, brother, that's exactly how it worked. I was coming back from a 2-year deployment, and I said, hey, listen, I'm gonna go and resign my commission. I've done enough. I've served the country. She said, let's have one more child. I'm like, well, heck, I'll do my part. I mean, my part's easy.
It is easy. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. I'll do my part. And came out and she said, hey, we're having triplets. I had to go back to the military with my hat in my hand. Hey, guys, I'm sorry. I'm not leaving. I'll be here forever. What do you need me to do?
the military healthcare plan was pretty tight.
That's right.
Pretty solid for the triplets. It's going to make a lot of sense.
They're 17 years old. Everybody's doing fine.
That's excellent.
Yeah. All the kids.
Tell me about that. So I have a 4-month-old at home, and that whole process is very fresh in my mind. So you go to the OBGYN.
Yes.
And they go, you're having triplets. What is that like?
That's like passing out on the floor. Somebody give me some smelling salt and waking you back up. I mean,
knees get a little weak.
Yeah, exactly. That was that. Knees got weak. It was a fun time. It was a fun time. Here's why it was fun, Matt. Because we were in Conyers, Georgia at the time. And I was stationed at Fort Gillum.
Okay.
Up in towards the Atlanta area. The entire city of Atlanta came around us.
Okay.
And literally insulated us and helped us unsolicited.
That's incredible.
Because it was the first time ever that a natural set of triplets had been born in that particular hospital.
Wow.
So there were no NICUs in Atlanta proper. We had to go to the Conyers Hospital, and literally the entire hospital, the entire community just wrapped around us, from the military base to the newspapers, and it was a very supportive time period. So it just let me know that when God gives mouths, He gives meat.
I like the way that when God gives mouths, He gives me. I like that.
Yeah.
And I bet there was, I mean, just with triplets, so there's a lot of logistical complications that happen.
Absolutely.
There's a capacity a woman has for bearing children.
Right.
And
right.
Wow.
So we talked. So they were, I think the one of them was 2.2 pounds. The other one was 3 pounds. The other one was 5 pounds. All of them are completely healthy today. My 17-year-old son, he's 6'3". The girls, all the kids, all of my kids, they wrestle, they fight. They're on the state wrestling championship team with Greenbrier.
Wow.
So
Congratulations.
My other daughter, she wrestles in college. She's the captain of the wrestling team in college.
Where at?
So at Allen University in Columbia.
Okay.
But again, it's just it's a testament of what God really can do.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet they got plenty of practice at home, growing up together, all sorts of wrestling.
Absolutely. They tear up the whole house, man.
We had this house one time we were looking at, and upstairs, it was a very expensive house, and upstairs there was a camera, and on the camera, the person I was walking through the house got caught. Not caught on camera, but the owner of the home saw that the person made a comment. It was such an expensive house, but we had these hollow core cheap doors upstairs. And the comment was made by the seller. Maybe clearly you don't have three young boys.
That's right.
Living upstairs, because I've had to replace these doors more than a few times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If I bought expensive doors, they'd still get destroyed.
Exactly.
I'm not doing it.
And I'm still going to pay for it. Yeah.
If you think I can't afford to put in real doors for you, well, then, then maybe we shouldn't be working together.
That's right. Exactly right.
But there's a purpose for most things.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Little side note there. So
that's right.
So we were tired.
Yeah.
30 years of service.
Yeah.
And we've come along this project. You seem to have found a purpose here, and you've been working on this project for years. Just tiny. Yeah. And what it is elaborate on what for those who don't know what the Bridge Builder project is.
Community. So you asked me a little bit about my background. So born and raised right here in the city of Augusta.
Okay.
And I fast forward to the fact, doctorate degree, retired.
And why education? Where'd that come? Was that from while you were in military?
Retired Army officer. Why doctorate degree education?
The education. When did you achieve that?
Oh man, I did that while in the military.
Okay.
I was also a college professor for like a decade and a half while in the military as well. So I also wrote several books while I was in the military.
Okay.
So I guess I'm gonna get back to the
go ahead
to the why. So we fast forward this thing on you did this, you did that. No, born and raised right here in the city of Augusta. Most of my family members were in foster care. They were in orphanages right here in the city. As a teenager, I saw that and recognized that I couldn't do anything about it. I was a kid, didn't have the requisite skill set, didn't have the education, didn't have the money, didn't have anything, but I knew that I needed to help my family, right? And I said, what if we can create, this was at 18 years old, what if we can create an entire neighborhood where these kids would be safe? What I witnessed, Matt, was the mental abuse, the emotional abuse, the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, all of the loss, what they call the adverse childhood experiences that these kids go through. Most of them move from house to house between the ages of 1 and 14, 12, 13 times. So imagine if I rung a cowbell and said, okay, every time I ring this cowbell, I need you to grab the most important thing to you and leave. And we're going to do it again every 3 minutes. And we're going to do it again. Then we're going to do it again. We'll do it again. And you're 5 years old, you're 7 years old, you're 12 years old. And all you have is a picture of your mom because she said she'd come back and get you. That's all you have. You and I, pretty educated individuals with some faculties, we can kind of figure things out. But you're 5, you're 6, you're 7, 12. And now this is your life.
Helpless.
And then at 18 years old, the foster care system says, we're done with you. And and again, I'm not going to blame the system because they're overworked, right? And that'll get, we'll talk about the other point in a minute. They're overworked. Families have fallen off. And we have failed families. We have some other things going on in our system that causes these things. So again, I saw that my whole life, and that shaped me. That developed me. That's why I did the things that I did. I mean, as far as write books on fatherhood, develop nationally recognized fatherhood programs. I developed a program called Fathering for Effect, helping fathers to lead.
Fathering for Effect.
Okay. Helping dads to lead where they live, helping men to live fully engaged and fully alive in the lives of their kids, because I recognized that if the dads are in place, and I apologize for hitting the mic.
Oh, good.
If the dads are in place, then the family is in place.
Mhm.
And research shows you that every societal ill that we have comes from a fatherlessness issue.
Hmm.
Every society, from economics to education, the whole 9 yards. And so I recognized that early on, and I said, that's going to be my focus. And so while in the military, I take military leave, and everybody else go fishing or go hunting. I go to Brazil and do men's conferences, or I go to Asia and do men's conferences, or I go to West Coast or wherever there were conferences taking place. I go teach these conferences and help dads come alongside men, help them to stand in their families' lives, because I saw what the opposite of that was.
Creates a foundation. But the father creates a foundation.
Father creates foundation.
And you're doing this on more, but it sounds like a global scale. What you've been able to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And how did you, so you saw this at 18, you saw this from family relatives going through this process. So you saw the effect it had on those family members pretty early on.
Absolutely.
And so you're 18, you enlisted?
I enlisted initially, then became an officer later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went through OCS school.
OCS, yep.
Okay. But throughout you were doing education. Where were you teaching at?
St. Martin University and Park University. St. Martin University is in Washington State.
Okay.
So I did on platform, and I ended up doing online when I left the area. Taught in the business department.
Okay, so you're doing business. So you were teaching business school, business concepts.
Yeah,
okay.
Business concept, leadership, communication, mass communication, cultural intelligence.
Okay.
Yep.
And through the military, you're moving around, and so this is allowing you to you've had this life goal, to be your life purpose, your life goal.
Sure.
Since you were 18, so as you're moving around different areas,
right?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like this is exposing you to different parts of the world.
Absolutely.
And you were seeing the needs in these different parts of the world, and it was allowing you to build a little bit of a network and to kind of teach these concepts.
Absolutely.
Do you see? Now I'm curious. Do you see the exact same type of problem in every area, or is it does it switch based on your region of the world,
based on the culture?
Mm-hmm.
If world and United States, yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So you don't have major fatherhood issues in certain third world countries.
Mm-hmm.
Men stay.
Okay.
They stay in place.
Okay.
They stay in place. I mean, yeah, if war takes them away from the house, that's one thing.
Right.
But in most cases,
that's war.
Yeah, that's war.
Yeah.
That's war. But
you're defending your household.
You're defending your household. But other than that, no, they stay. They feel obligated. They feel this is my seed. I'm going to protect it. And then that's where I came up with those different 5 concepts of what I call 5 pillars of a patriarch.
Okay.
5 pillars of
what
a
are
patriarch.
those?
Well, and I know this is a side. We're not talking. It's not real estate yet.
It's all wraps into it.
It's all wrapped into. So 5 pillars of a patriarch. The word pater is actually the Greek word for father. Pater, which is where we get our word for pattern. So the first thing is fathers need to pattern or model the behavior that they want to see in their children.
Okay.
Model the behavior. Pretty simple, right? Mm-hmm. I can't tell them to do something I'm not doing.
Set the example.
Got to set the example.
Mm-hmm.
The word provision is the next P, right? Provision is not money. It's not supplies. It actually means it's the Latin root word from provitere, which means to provide vision.
Okay.
So as fathers and leaders of our household, we're literally just to set the vision. This is the direction our family is going. This is what we do.
Okay.
This is how we operate. This is how we move. That. This is where we're going. Like Abraham. Abraham didn't know exactly where they were going. He said, we're going this way.
Mm-hmm.
We're going this way. And the family follows because he patterned that.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing, he's to protect. Fathers to protect. Any ecosystem that any man builds, like a garden,
mm-hmm.
he doesn't just plant seeds and then let it go and let the animals come in and ravage it. No, he protects that thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is he prepares. A father is literally supposed to cultivate everything in his household.
Yeah.
Even cultivate his wife, even cultivate his kids, help them to find, follow, and finish their God-given purpose, help them to discover, develop, and deploy their gifts to the world. His job is to look at each. Like I said again, I have 5 children, 3 of them born on the same day, 1 minute apart. All of them have 3 different learning styles, 3 different proclivities, 3 different desires in life. My job is to help them shape that, help them to develop that so they can deploy that gift to the world. That's our job.
Okay.
And the last 5, the 5th P is to avoid passivity.
Avoid passivity.
To avoid passivity.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
This is a very intentional time. This is a very intentional tool to do. I mean, you can't be passive about doing any of this. It has to be very, very intentional and focused. So when I see fathers do that, I know they're fathering for effect.
Okay. Fathering for effect. What do you mean by that?
They're fathering on purpose.
Fathering on purpose.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I see what you're saying here. Okay.
They're fathering on purpose.
So, but by avoiding passivity, you're talking. I mean, is this downtime? Is this like being we're not procrastinating? Elaborate a little bit on that.
You're not being a drill sergeant. You're just very the four things that I mentioned earlier. You're very intentional about patterning the behavior you want to see in your children. You're very intentional about providing vision for the family. Mm-hmm. Like for instance, for my kids, all of them automatically want to help people. They want to be helpers. All of them want to be psychologists or therapists, and they come to me and they say, "Dad, well, I don't want to be a therapist because my sisters, I said, well, there are multiple types of psychologists out there. You can be a sports psychologist. Mm-hmm. You can be a child psychologist. You can be," and so we're exploring those things because that's their natural proclivity. They all, want to give and they want to help and they want to come alongside and counsel and so we're developing them in that space. So I'm very intentional about that.
Okay.
And so if they tell me, "Dad, I want to go work at McDonald's for the rest of my life," and nothing wrong working at McDonald's for the rest of your life, but I know that's not you. I know your natural skills, gifts, and proclivities and giftings and talents are really to counsel.
Mm-hmm. That's more of a passive lifestyle. We don't avoid
passive
that.
lifestyle.
Yep.
We're avoiding that.
Yep.
The protection piece. Am I intentional about protecting? Yeah. I don't let my children just do anything, go anywhere, hang out with anybody, because again, I am trying to protect the ecosystem that we're creating for them, so that they can deploy their gifts to the world in the best fashion.
So what's really interesting is you mentioned, I think a lot of people would have assumed the opposite. You see a third world country and there's poverty and things like that maybe fatherhood was a very small part, but you're saying there's a lot more obligation in these third world countries. So what's the main takeaway from that? What are you saying? Why does the first world country see more of this fatherhood issue than the third world countries?
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. I think we have again, served 30 years in the military. I love my country. Mm-hmm. I think we take advantage of too much of our freedoms.
Okay.
Yeah, because we can. Divorce is $179, right? I think you can get a non-contested divorce for $99. I don't know how much it costs.
Right. But the attorney's time. Right.
Whatever it costs. Mm-hmm. And so we don't even think about it anymore. We have too many options. Mm-hmm. You remember when our parents, I don't know how your parents are or were.
Early 60s.
Oh, okay. My father, he passed at 94 years old. My mother passed at 89 years old. They were born in 1930, 1933. They had to do life together. Mm-hmm. They had to do life together, right? Those options are now kind of off the table. You don't have to. I don't have to tolerate you. I don't have to deal with you anymore. I can, as a female, I make 6 figures a year. I don't need to tolerate this. The guy said the same thing. I don't need you. I have options. Divorce is $99. We have too many options.
Okay.
We need to really look at each other and recognize that I need you, and that you're here for me. I'm here for you. But again, we're talking relationship now, man. You got me in a whole nother space.
No, but I think it's a good conversation to understand, because that's the society we live in, and it's creating these problems that you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
And the problem you're trying to solve does not get any better on a grand scale unless these core issues are fixed.
Absolutely.
And that's the root of these things.
Absolutely.
Is and we don't want to elaborate any further, but it all ties in. It all ties in.
It really does.
And what you're doing is going to help so many kids.
Well, I appreciate that.
It's bar none going to provide a pathway for these kids who are not lucky enough to have that, be put in the right situation. And what you're going to be doing is going to be creating a generational impact. Right. But as a society, we've got to fix the core issue, because without it, your project is going to continue to need to have more and more people doing it, more development. And so what you're doing is you're building a tiny home community.
Right.
And this community is going to provide a gateway for foster children to learn home ownership skills, finance skills, just financial literacy.
Yes.
We talked to Kim our last episode, in real estate, something I see all the time with, tax sales and adverse possession, just, quit claim deeds, subject twos. You see a lot of unfortunate events where had these families, they inherit properties and they have no clue their options.
Right.
And there's a lot of people willing to take a lot of advantage of these type of people.
Yes.
And sometimes they just get too deep, and they don't cover their tax. They don't understand what they can do with their piece of real estate.
Right.
An incredible opportunity.
A lot of opportunity.
And a lot of these people were in the foster care system.
Yes.
A lot of these people were not taught financial literacy whatsoever for whatever reason. And they let these opportunities go.
Right. Exactly.
You inherit a piece of real estate. You can take that piece of real estate, you can depreciate it. You can then, reduce your tax liability, and you can use that money to invest in a second property. And then you can bring renters in, and, or you can pull the money. People don't even know they can pull money out of a house they own free and clear. If you have a $100,000 house, you have an $80,000 asset, and that $80,000 may not be incredibly hard to finance.
Exactly.
And you can fix the house up. Now you can get a renter in there, and you've got a piece of income coming in.
That's the knowledge right there.
Right. And instead, they get overwhelmed by the work needs to be done on a property.
Right.
The taxes, they don't pay them. Mm-hmm. Right. This is a complete liability for them because tax sale, boom, opportunity gone.
And now that piece of generational wealth is gone from their family forever.
That's a 30-minute, that's a 30-second class.
Yep.
I could have taught right there. And a lot of people aren't afforded that. So what you're doing is you're building this community.
Yep.
But it's not just building homes. It's a whole program around it. So tell the listeners who aren't fully aware of what this project is. What all does it encompass?
So let's talk. I like talking in P's or alphabet. So we'll talk about
a lot of P's. The 5 P's.
I got 5 P's. Now you got 4 P's here. Right. All right. So we talk about the population that we're serving, or the people that we're serving. We'll talk about the program, and we'll talk about the project.
Okay.
And then the progress. All right. So again, the people that we serve, we talk about 18.
So many P's.
I know. P's.
All these P's in one pod.
Hey, what? P's in one pod. I like that. No. So again, the population we're serving, 18 to 24-year-olds who've aged out of the foster care system.
Okay. 18 to 24.
Throughout the entire state of Georgia.
Okay.
Like we talked about their stats. Then 85% of these kids have some form of mental health illness due to the adverse childhood experiences that they experienced. 71% of the young ladies become pregnant by the time they're 21. 55% of these kids become homeless almost instantly. 24% of these kids, when they age out of care, they have some form of engagement with the justice system, thereby starting that whole.
Can you repeat those numbers real quick? We went those really fast, and those are incredibly scary numbers.
Yeah. 85,
one more time.
Yeah. And again, you can fact check me. Please fact check me. 85% of the kids that age out of foster care have some form of mental health illness due to the adverse childhood experiences that they've gone to. Things I talked about earlier with the displacement, food insecurities, the housing piece that Matt talked about earlier. 71% of the young ladies who age out of foster care become pregnant by the time they're 21 years old. 55% of these kids become homeless almost instantly once they leave foster care. And 24%, a quarter of these kids, when they leave foster care, they have some form of engagement with the justice system, thereby starting the whole foster care to prison pipeline, wherein 87 to 92% of the kids the individuals that are in prison today come out of foster care or come out of fatherless homes.
Wow.
Got one more for you if you're ready for it. A national number says 63% of the kids that come out of foster care are in sex trafficking. 63% nationally.
That's disgusting.
However, in Augusta, the number 75% or higher.
So we're beating the average here.
We're beating the average.
Our that's a whole other topic too. But our location, very prime for it.
It is.
All the
Yep, it absolutely is.
Nasty stuff.
So those are the people. That's the population we're serving. Wow. All right. The program. Now I'll go to the program. The program, we're providing all of the scaffolding around this population. So we're talking about educational. First of all, talking about mental health counseling. We partner with multiple mental health agencies here in the city of Augusta. Medical. We partner with every medical facility. We have Medical Associates Plus. We have Wellstar on board. We have Piedmont on board. We have Care Sources come on board, and then all the other mental health agencies here in the city of Augusta to provide the mental health counseling, therapy, and physical health. Right. We have our academic pieces. We've partnered with Augusta Tech, Augusta University in some cases, Goodwill to provide those certification and job completion programs. We partner with pretty much every church in the city of Augusta that would have a conversation with us to provide some of that mentorship and some of that just love and care. We partner with it. I'll talk about the project here in a second. What we discovered was when I came back to the city of Augusta to have a conversation with every agency in the city. And I said, hey, I did a community stakeholder whiteboard session. This was probably October of 22.
Okay.
And I said, I put a call out for the city. I said, whoever's impacted by the success and the failure of young adults who've aged out of care,
okay,
I'd like to have you in this room.
Okay.
Right. In that room, you had then the president of Augusta Tech, Dr. Jermaine Worrell.
Mm-hmm.
You had Ian Mercer in the room. You had several of our commissioners in the room. Our sex trafficking task force was in the room. Social services folks were in the room. Had about 67 to 70 individuals, decision makers in the city of Augusta in the room. A couple of realtors are in the room as well. And for 4 hours, I cast the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the first 30 minutes, I cast the vision. Here's the problem. Here's what I believe the issue is. Here's what I believe the solution is. How can we whiteboard this thing? What can we do as a city of Augusta? The land bank was in the room that day.
Yep.
And I shared with them, we need some space.
Shout out, Sean.
Shout out to Sean Edwards. I had his first time meeting Sean Edwards.
Okay.
And that was the first day. And as he started articulating some of the solutions to the problems that I was saying, he was like, well, okay, how much land do you need? Because at the time, the tiny house ordinance was just being crafted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were working with Jordan Johnson
Mm-hmm.
and the planning and zoning folks. And it was it was right on the precipice. And so Sean said, hey, I think we can find you some land because we have several parks here in the city of Augusta that we can no longer manage. They're in the land bank. Come give us a proposal. Show us what you're going to do. And if it's sustainable, you can buy the land from us.
Yep.
And so that's exactly what we went through the executive committee. We went through the entire process and we submitted the project, which is the other P. The project is we're building 25 tiny homes, 5,000 square foot community building. A 26th tiny home will go to the, we have we call a parent teacher model that we use. So that's the.
Okay. What's that parent teacher model?
Yeah. So that's where you have a husband and wife team who live there on site.
Okay.
Who are crisis informed, trauma informed, trained, that they will further enforce everything that's being taught.
So they're being given they have a dwelling on the site.
They have a dwelling on site.
Okay.
They have a dwelling on site. Not only that, but you have PhD level and master's level counselors and therapists who also are housed in the admin building, the 5,000 square foot building. So about 20% of that is used for admin. The rest of it is used.
There's an on-site facility to kind of.
Oh yeah, this is not just throwing kids in the neighborhood. See, the current model.
That's what a lot of people say.
So
right?
the current model. No. So the current model, and that's why we did this model. The current model, Matt, is called scattered independent living program.
Okay.
Scattered independent living. So you have these kids right now already here in the city of Augusta, but they're scattered in apartments. They live in Section 8 homes, where they may be couch surfing, wherever, but they're by themselves. Mm-hmm. And a case manager will go check on them maybe once a week based off of their caseload. It's
a lot of driving.
It's a lot of driving. It's a lot of kids.
You might be able to get maybe 2, maybe 3 kids a day at the best. At best, if you can find them.
At best.
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing at 18 years old, 21 years old? And if I don't answer that question, I want you to incriminate yourself. But 21 years old, do you know how to shop? Do you know how to cook for yourself? Do you know how to manage your checkbook? Do you know how to get up and go to work every day? Do you know how to go to class every day? You know, all these things that you are just trying to navigate with all of the 85%, all the stats that I shared with you earlier, just trying to manage life. And now someone throws you in an apartment, unfurnished, maybe furnished, who knows? No one's there at the elbow with you, helping you. That's why we said, let's create an entire neighborhood, an entire community, because community has 4 aspects to it. Membership, inclusivity, fulfillment of needs, and emotional connection, right? So the membership in our community is the fact that you've faced homelessness, you're 18 to 24 years old, you've been in the foster care system, you have those lived experiences, right? The involvement and the inclusivity piece is everyone in the community has a voice. Everybody has a voice. The fulfillment of needs, you're going to make sure that you leave there with 4 E's. Yes, I like these letters. You're going to leave there with 4 E's. You're going to leave there educated. You're going to leave there as enlisted in the military. You're going to leave there employed. You're going to leave there as an entrepreneur. But you're going to leave there in a much better economic and mental health space than you would when you first came to us.
Okay. So they come in at 18.
Yep.
There's 18 and 24. So do they have that 6 years to figure it out, or that 4 years, or whatever they get? But so their time limit is 24 years old.
Yep. So we put when they first come to us, and this is part of the programming piece. When they come to us, the first thing they do is they get an individual. Everyone gets an individual success plan.
Okay.
When you first come to us and you first screened, because they come to us multiple different ways. School systems, we partner with the school systems here. The social service workers, they already contacted us. Come to the schools, DFACs, family referrals, personal referral, right? When they come to us, we determine whether or not they're a good fit for the community. Some people aren't. All right. If they have any violent crime, can't be there. Any sex crime, you can't be there. Sorry.
Right.
We'll find some place for you, but our neighborhood can't be in our neighborhood because, again, fulfillment of need, that's an emotional connection that's important to the community.
These people will be very exposed to one another, and you've got to, violent sexual misconduct. It's, it can hurt the program.
It can hurt the program, but it can hurt other. Again, everything that we're doing is for the safety of not just our surrounding community, but our personal community, right? So they come to us and they do an individual success plan where we have a program we use called youth science that determines a young adult's natural proclivities, academic aptitude, and what career path they should be on. Mm-hmm. So once we do that, then we actually develop that program for them, link them with a mentor, link them with a school, link them with an employer.
Yeah.
Right. And so they have a pathway. They have a written, this is your plan for the next 2 to 3 years, whatever. And it's based off of
you have options.
And you have options.
You have plenty of, you have 4 options, I think, right?
You have several options. You have several options. But everyone in our program, they have to either be going to school and or working at the same time. Mm-hmm. Either one, right? If a kid comes in, they say, hey, I just want to become an electrician. We'll connect them with IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, 1579 local union. Mm-hmm. And they can go through that program, but they'll be employed at the same time, earning a livable wage and we'll be preparing them, to launch and to transition successfully into adulthood.
Yeah.
So they'll have the actual systemic training that we have for them. Then they have the informal training, our basic life skills trainings, where we partner with multiple bankers. Mm-hmm. So the bankers are coming in and they're teaching them financial literacy, how to manage credit, how to manage a credit card, how to purchase homes, all of the things that they necessarily need to get into transition successfully into adulthood. We partner with Augusta Locally Grown and Black Farm Street and all these other wonderful nonprofits here in the city where they'll come in and teach them how to prepare meals. We partner with the UGA Extension Program. They teach them how to go into a grocery store and shop for food and come back and prepare and
shopping smartly.
All the things, again, all the things that you want your children to know before they left the house and before they launched. That's what we're teaching these kids. I like to say I have 5 children biologically and 500 by choice, right? So that's what we do. And again,
so 500 kids is the capacity program.
Well, actually, we'll 25 kids in each housing, but we'll be able to service through our programming.
Okay.
In that 5,000 square foot community building. Okay. Through the program, we'll be able to service any kid in the area.
Okay.
Right. Okay. But as far as who will live there on site, 25 kids, one in each home. They can stay anywhere from, like I said, like you just mentioned, 18 to 24 years old. From our community partners across the country that we work with, which is Pivot, here in Oklahoma. They've been doing it for 50 years.
So this program's been around for 50 years in Oklahoma.
Pivot they've been operating for 50 years as a social service organization.
And for those listening, this is not it's not clear already. This is not just a nose of the grindstone, right? Pulling out of our behinds, right. Dream. That's we're not testing. We're not trailblazing here.
Right.
You are taking this project, this concept that's proven and is working in another area. And what it's called Pivot.
It's called Pivot.
Okay, Pivot. And Oklahoma. So if someone wanted to go look at what Pivot is to get more of a visual,
please.
Right. Where would they go and search that?
Go to Pivot. Yeah. Pivot OKC is in Oklahoma City.
PIVOT OKC.
Yeah. PIVOT. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Great organization. And they've been around for 50 years as a social service organization. About 2018, they recognized the same issue that, hey, you know what? These kids need a community. Okay. So they start doing the same thing. They start building tiny homes. And I think when we went to visit them in 2021, I think they had maybe 24 homes at the time. Yep. Now they're up to about 84 homes.
Wow.
Right. They're up to 84 homes.
One of the biggest challenges I've seen, just love it and hate it, social media.
Yep.
You have a lot of people who have concerns about this project.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the biggest concerns is, not this is a good idea, but not in this neighborhood.
Yeah, NIMBYism.
What is the Pivot community in OKC, the surrounding area?
Yeah.
What kind of effect has this? Because where you're building this project is not like in the best part of town either.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
Yep.
It's not.
Yeah.
And you're taking an old park.
Yep.
I saw you had to remove the gum tree. I saw the ode to the gum tree.
Come on,
very well written.
You like that? Did
very
you like
well
that?
written.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That was very thoughtful. It's a big, beautiful tree.
It was.
Dang shame.
It was.
But what to the surrounding area? in Oklahoma. What does that area look like now? About the last 5-6 years?
Oh, well, they have a lot more acreage than we do.
Okay.
And they're right next to an apartment complex. But they've created, just like we're doing, they created amazing relationships with everyone in the community.
Okay.
Right. And so we've endeavored, and we'll continue to do that, build amazing relationships with even the surrounding area. Like we're on Mary Street, 1140 Mary Street. So it's clear. If for those in the area, you have Central Avenue on one side, you have Walton on the other side, you have ARC right up the street, Payne College, and the medical district behind it. So first of all, we're holding every class that we have offered for our population, we're offering for everybody in the community.
Okay.
So
anybody can come over there.
Anybody can come in because we want. I was in Brazil. I'll leave you alone. I'll stop with the stories. But
I like stories.
I was in Brazil giving a presentation at a men's conference back in 2019, whenever it was.
Okay.
And it was a bunch of different pastors and men from all over the world. And I walked up to one guy and I said, "Hey, how are things in your country?" And he said, "How dare you ask me how things in my country? How are things in your country?" And I was like, man, I'm about to give this man the right hand of fellowship. I'm about to lay hands on him suddenly. Why are you so aggressive, sir? And he said, "Jackson, if the United States has a cold, the rest of the world sneezes." I said, that's wise. That's wise. And so if one part of a town, if one part of Augusta has a broken leg, the rest of Augusta limps. If one population in Augusta has a broken leg, then the rest of the city limps. And so we're going to build everybody up.
Okay.
I'm going to build the entire community up. So all the fiscal responsibility classes, all of the how to use your credit classes, all the life skills trainings that we offer our population on the Bridge Builder community, we're offering everybody in the community because we want everyone to be better employed, better educated, and better equipped to be able to handle the growth that we have here in Augusta. We have a great city. We have Aruba coming here. We have Starbucks. We have so many. We have so much. Cyber Center. We have so much here in the city of Augusta, but we're not taking advantage of it. I mean, the people here aren't taking advantage of it because they're just, like you said to your point, they don't know that it exists or aren't equipped to manage it. And so we have relationships that we built with Augusta Tech and other folks that we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to.
You had I went over to y'all's what do they call it? The groundbreaking ceremony.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of very strong local backers here.
Yes.
Do you want to give a second to recognize them real quick?
So we didn't get a chance to talk about the project. I didn't make it to that P yet. But the project, honestly, Mark Herbert, Mark Ivy Homes and Bill Beasley Homes, they came alongside and said, "Hey, Jack, how much is it going to take to build these tiny homes?" And they priced everything out for us, $50,000 per home, right?
Yeah. Wow.
They said, we'll take care of that for you.
Okay. Yep.
We'll take care of that for you.
Mark Herbert.
Mark Ivy Homes.
Ivy Homes. That's Mark Ivy.
Mark Ivy. Ivy Homes.
And Mark and Matt, right?
Yes.
Mark and Matt, yep.
Ivy Homes.
Okay.
And Bill Beasley. They're taking care of all the tiny homes for us. Right.
Okay.
And you can do the math. That's 1 point, whatever it is, they can do the math. Then we have the 5,000 square foot community building that's being taken care of by R.W. Allen. But again, we have that's at cost, but still, that's a quality company who's taking care of that piece there. Then the site prep work is taken care of by Site Master.
Okay.
And then the entire, I had to bring in an individual to monitor all this stuff and to manage it. And that's Kara Wilson of Gage Construction. So she's our ringleader.
Okay.
She's our ringleader. But my board chair, who's Joe Gamble of McMillan Pasden Smith. He's my board chair, first of all, laid out the entire project for us. And so just those relationships that were early adopted. I mean, these have been around, like I say, when I first came back to the city of Augusta, I think I met Joe at a leadership conference.
Okay.
And I shared with him the vision. He invited me to the office and I shared the vision with him more and more and more. He leaned back, he said, "Oh, you're gonna make me do this, aren't you?" But he has been, he and his wife, Kathy, have been on board from day one. Penny Wasden and my whole entire board, Martin Harvey, just an entire phenomenal group of individuals that I promise you, I don't have enough money to pay these individuals.
Right.
None of us have taken a paycheck from any of this ever. None of us have taken a paycheck for it. I still work a full-time job at Wellstar.
Right. Boom. What do you do at Wellstar?
So I'm the director of community engagement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a side project for you.
It's just something I do on the side, something I do on the weekends.
No passivity here.
Zero passivity here.
So,
all intentionality.
One thing that was really eye-opening with all of this, and especially with, when you get a full-time job too, and you're putting all this together, I mean, you need to be committed. You are being committed, but you need to be committed as much as possible. That's really impressive. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you.
Truly, thank you.
Yeah.
What was very interesting, we heard from Kim Evans was the amount of funding that the Boys and Girls Club gets from federal grant is wild.
Yeah.
It is. I think it was like 70%.
Crazy.
So one question I want to ask you is for the locals listening.
Yeah.
How can this community come and help you the most? How can this community that has not already come, sounds like it'd be massive, strong, at start, but how's this community for the next few years, over the next decade?
Yeah.
How can I help you the most? How can my neighbors come in and help you? How do we get involved?
Yeah. Thank you. So we're one of the only, Bridge Builder Community is one of the only qualified fostering tax credit organizations, right? Okay. And so everybody has to pay Georgia state taxes. Mm-hmm. So you can either you can send the money to the state of Georgia and they'll determine how they want the money to use. But guess what? You can send it to Bridge Builder Community and directly. Okay. Directly. So we're talking about businesses and individuals, companies, organizations. That's one way they can partner with us. Other ways, we've had partnerships as simple as we had another group come in and make quilts for every kid. Okay. Right. We had another group that came in and said, listen, we do woodworking. Can we make all of the dining room tables for you? Mm-hmm. One of the high schools here said, we'll make all of the front porch, chairs for you guys. So, and each home, I didn't share this about the project. Each home is completely furnished. Mm-hmm. And when every young adult leaves, they take everything with them. Okay. So the homes will need to be backfilled. Okay. Right. And so that's one way they can partner with us. If someone has a skill that they tutor or they know how to cook, please go to the website and you'll see how to get connected and just fill out the form and we'll get you locked in.
What was that website address one more time?
It's bridgebuildercommunities.org. Bridgebuildercommunities.org. Abby Grace, you had a question.
I did. You did ask my first one, but it was a great question. So thank you. But what's the projected opening start of everything?
So they're doing the site prep work right now. Mm-hmm. Tiny homes should start going vertical maybe August, September timeframe. I think it may take 2 or 3 months there. And then the community building, which is a commercial building, probably takes about 6-7 months to build. So we're looking in the first quarter 26.
Oh, awesome.
That's coming up soon.
That's
not far from now.
I love it.
Far from now.
So we're going to end on this question. And I think I know the answer, but after everything that you said and done, and I think that's something to get very excited about. Yeah. What else about this community, about this project that you haven't talked about already, over the next 12 months or so, what are you really, really excited about? Man,
I'm excited about serving these kids.
Okay.
I'm excited about opening these doors and serving these kids. I mean, we get calls every day about 18 to 24-year-olds. I mean, literally every day that I'm taking calls and seeing, can we serve these young adults now? I'm excited about the opportunity to serve these young adults, to open up the doors and to see some changes in their lives.
You said your ringleader, her name was her name was Jennifer? No.
Kara.
Kara
Wilson. Yeah, she's our consultant. Yeah.
I'm sure she's jumping at the bit to get this thing.
Yeah, she is. She's out there. She's out there every morning. Because again, you're talking a 3-acre piece of property. How can you imagine how many contractors are going to be out there on that piece of property working? Trying to build 25 homes in a 5,000 square foot community building. So yeah.
So you're excited about serving these kids, and we're going to start serving these kids come quarter 1 of 2026.
Absolutely.
Time flies. We're already almost halfway into June.
Exactly. Crazy. The year's
Is this
almost
me, or
over.
did May seem to take forever for you? May felt like a really long month.
It did.
And we're already day 10 of June.
Phenomenal.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Thank you for everything you're doing. I'm glad you got to share a little bit about this project. I'm looking really forward to seeing the good news, good news after good news. I just appreciate you coming on, taking time to sit with us.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.